Some of my favorite characters to watch in television are usually the morally grey ones like the Punisher, Spawn, Walter,
You're goddamn right.
and now Cecil Stedman. Imagine being the one in charge of saving the world on a daily basis. Not with a punch, but where every decision is a tightrope walk between ethical idealism and cold, hard pragmatism. Welcome to the morally murky world of Cecil Stedman, the often misunderstood head honcho of the Global Defense Agency. Listen, you read the title, you know what this is. So grab a cup of something strong. Let's talk about why Cecil's decision, however unpalatable they may seem, are not only necessary, but downright heroic in their own right. In a universe practically on the edge of chaos, Cecil isn't your run-of-the-mill bureaucrat. He's the guy who, when surrounded by hordes of supervillains and existential crises, decides that sometimes you have to make the hard choices, even when it means using the Reanimen or reluctantly teaming up with downright problematic characters like Darkwing, something we all know now he wouldn't have agreed to or even considered early on in his career. But before you gasp, let's remember, these aren't acts of villainy, but strategic moves in a game where the rules are certainly changing. Let's talk pragmatism. Picture this. In the second episode of the third season of the show, Cecil faces a decision so dire that traditional heroics would simply not cut it. Instead of opting for an all-out, feel-good rescue mission, when most of the guardians of the globe are captured, he deploys said Reanimen. Now, that might seem like a betrayal of trust between him, Mark, and the rest of the team. But in the grand chessboard, sometimes using morally grey assets is the only way to checkmate an impending catastrophe. Instead of risking the lives of even more heroes, he did the rational and logical thing. Cecil's methods aren't about reveling in darkness. It's about choosing the lesser evil when every option seems to come with a hefty price tag. Employing Darkwing is one of those. Yes, in those moments, when the very fabric of society is at stake, he understands that unconventional alliances, even with figures that might appear as villains on paper, are sometimes simply the only viable solution. His thinking at that moment is one of, sure, I'd rather not play with the bad guys, but if that's the only way to keep the world from imploding, then by all means, let's get to work. It's important to consider the weight on Cecil's shoulders. As the leader of the GTA, he's responsible for the safety of billions. In our everyday lives, most of us can barely decide what to have for lunch. But Cecil's lunch decisions might very well mean the difference between global stability and utter disaster. His choices are rooted in a grim reality, a world where waiting for the perfect solution can be a luxury no one can afford. In such moments, the pragmatic route, no matter how unorthodox, becomes the beacon of hope. And here's where the philosophy kicks in. Leadership in the world of superpowers isn't about the warm and fuzzy feelings we all wish for. It's about the raw, unvarnished truth of tough decisions. Cecil embodies the ancient archetype of the reluctant hero, a modern-day guardian forced to sacrifice his personal morals for the greater good. Think of him as a tragic figure burdened by responsibility, yet armed with a razor-sharp intellect and an unwavering commitment to protecting everyone else before himself. Sure, his actions might seem cold at first glance, but peel back the layers and you see a man who's operating in an arena where every decision comes with a catastrophic consequence. Remember, when the fate of the world hangs in a balance, the luxury of idealistic heroism fades away, replaced by the necessity of strategic compromise. Cecil's choices, like trying to keep Mark and his brother, Oliver, under his thumb and essentially in his control, using omniman's services, despite knowing he was lying from the start, because he had no other choice anyway, hiding the secret that it was Omniman who killed the Guardians, which of course he did so his team could figure out why Omniman did it and how to stop him. Again, using the Reanimen and reluctantly partnering with Darkwing and the likes, all of which are emblematic of the harsh reality. They are not made out of malice. They are made out of an acute awareness that sometimes the world needs a little darkness to ward off an even greater evil. Sure, you might call it ruthless, or even say he's too willing to compromise his ethics. But let's not forget that ethics in crisis are rarely black and white. Cecil's decisions reflect the spectrum, a range of possibilities where the perfect solution is a myth, and the best you can do is minimize the damage. In this light, his moral ambiguity isn't a flaw. It's a realistic portrayal of what leadership really means, far away from the fantasy of a noble, perfect leader, in a world where every choice is a double-edged sword. So when it comes to Cecil Stedman, it's not just about understanding or defending his character, but the philosophy of leadership that acknowledges the messy, imperfect nature of his reality. He stands as a testament to the fact that sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones that protect us the most. And someone has to make that tough, harsh decision. Thus is the burden of responsibility. So while his methods might raise a few eyebrows and even cause a few chuckles, they serve a greater purpose, safeguarding the future in a universe where idealism alone isn't enough. In the end, Cecil simply isn't the villain. He is our necessary guardian, the hero we didn't ask for, but definitely needed. His actions, though controversial, are a mirror reflecting the difficult choices that we all must make in a world that isn't always kind. Behind his every tough decision lies a commitment to the greater good.
It's all about the greater good.
The greater good.
And if that means a little moral ambiguity, then perhaps we should all embrace the complexity of our times. So until next time, stay vigilant and remember, even in darkness, there is always a spark of hope.